recap for me what the heck we just did.
Today we talked about lessons that we learned from 2024. Everything from making scary transitions to taking care of our health.
Date night?
Yeah, to date night. And then we also talked about how our words played out for us. And then to end the episode, we talked a little bit about what our word is for 2025 and how excited we are to welcome it and see how things go.
Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Keith.
How are you?
I'm doing a lot better. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I mean,
I don't have a file name with 25, which is what I use to keep track of our recordings as I date them.
yes.
And so this is going to be the first one of 2025.
Even going into the holiday season, I think we had one, and then we're like, oh, well, this one came really fast and we had a lot going on, so we'll do a re-release.
Well, I think on holidays, it's okay to re-release something and give ourselves a little breathing room to actually take a vacation in a way.
Be with family.
Yeah. Because I'm not great at taking work off. I always feel guilty when I would take work off. I feel like I've talked about that. You know that.
No, I definitely know that.
But it's I'm like, that's no way. There's no way to live.
Yeah.
So it's always good to look back,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of part of the way I justify it to myself. And especially at the end of the year, it was okay, we have some from a year ago when we were reflecting on the prior year. I'm like, it'd be good to okay, where were we at? Let's listen to that. Let's put that out. So that's what we did. So anyway, we're back.
We are.
And what's on your mind?
Well, before we took a little bit of a break, I came down with the flu. I did not prioritize getting my flu shot this year. And so the flu kind of went through our entire household, except for you.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently.
I had something a while ago, right? And we can't
Yeah,
quite
we were
remember
trying to-
when. And I'm like, but it didn't knock me to the floor literally like it did to you.
Oh, yeah, that was the most comfortable spot in the house for a while.
A nice picture of you asleep on the floor on a blanket,
The only place that felt
one
good.
of our kids when they were 2 years old, and
Oh.
they get worn out and they just pass out on the floor. That's what you
I
look
just
like.
hurt all over, and I was hot, and yeah, no one needs to know all of that.
Yeah.
It was miserable. So next year I will be getting my flu shot.
There you go.
I'll remember that. Yeah, and it's still hanging on a little bit just from a respiratory standpoint. So I don't think I sound weird anymore.
No,
Okay.
you were in no shape to record.
There was actually 2 days where I was feeling pretty good, but I had no voice. I was whispering for a greater part of the day.
Pretty nice.
It was hey now. No, but it was the only way we could communicate. I was puzzling.
Yeah.
I didn't even puzzle when I was feeling bad. I did not move, but I was whispering, and then you'd whisper back to me. I'm like, you don't need to whisper. You're like,
It's kind of fun.
kind of fun to whisper. And then the kids would come out and they're like, what is happening? This is the only way my voice works. Anyway, all of that to say, before I came down with the flu, we were talking about and planning what another episode might be when we got down here in your studio. And the episode was really thinking about what if we were to look back on 2024 and look forward to 2025? What were some big things that we learned in 24? And what were some things that we're looking forward to 2025? And how might we approach that? So I know some of our re-releases talked about our 23 to 24 transition. I thought, I know it's a little late, but I still think it might be fun to do that with you.
Yeah, that's what came out a year ago. The title was literally Looking Back and Moving Forward.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we were talking about how there's a little bit of a pushback on resolutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the re-releases was that, and we were talking about how there's the National Quit Resolution Day or whatever, which is probably coming up again.
It's coming up. Is it the 22nd or the 17th?
I heard something more about that kind of, and I think somebody on some podcast or something said, it was pushing back and well, just because the calendar says it's a new year, it doesn't mean I have to start fresh or renew. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like a little bit of that pushback, but it got me thinking of, well, like what are my rhythms? And I think it's more like when the seasons change.
Sure.
So I kind of get it. Like this time of year, it's already cold and like nothing's really, the sea is already dark but now it's actually starting to get a little lighter because it's after the solstice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do start to feel a little more like, okay, it's time to like look ahead and like, what are we going to keep doing? Like, I'm not so against it is what I'm saying, but I was actually trying to reflect and see like, okay, what are my natural rhythms and when am I like, what do I get in spring cleaning mode? Or is it more like fall when I feel like tidying up or something? You know what I mean? Like, there's just different times for different people, but I think this is just as good a time as any because it's on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Okay. So looking back at 2024, I did take some notes when we were out and just talking about the potential of this session. I didn't know if you wanted me to go through some of those or not.
Go for it.
Okay. The first one from Lessons of 2024 that we talked a little bit about was that sometimes when you're going with a gut on a decision, it can turn out amazing. And so in the past year, I've had a pretty major job transition. So I have a job several hours away from you all. We've been figuring that out over the last couple months. If I was to have approached that from a pure logical standpoint, I don't know what my decision would have been, but there was a part that you and I really went with our guts on that of this is a great opportunity that I do need to go for it. I just felt really compelled to lean into it and be drawn towards something, I think is one thing we talked about rather than being pushed towards it. It's been really, really great. I really am enjoying it. I love what I do, and it was a big change, but I'm really liking it, and I think it was the right move.
Yeah, I think leaning in, it's something I say a lot, but I think that's better than saying we went with our gut because we took a lot of time to analyze and think about it.
That's fair.
But the going with our gut feeling was more of like leaning into the possibility and not letting ourselves say, well, that doesn't seem so practical or nobody else really does this. Some people can't believe that we're even thinking about it kind of thing after we told them. And it's just like, well, this is an opportunity for us to do something kind of special. And it may not work, but we're not going to know unless we try.
Right.
And I don't typically operate that way. So it was a really big deal. I don't really enjoy the uncertainty of not knowing how it's going to work out, right? As we've talked about.
Yeah.
But the fact that we then go on and talk about, okay, I'm going to switch from uncertainty to possibility. I'm going to not be anxious. I'm going to be curious. And then we actually did it in real life.
Yeah.
Putting those things into action. And yeah, so far it's different and it's still really new, even though it's been a few months.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
we're working through it.
If you're if you said you're happy with it, that makes it even better.
Yeah, I came home this weekend. So when I start a new job somewhere, one of the things I prioritize because it's important to me is getting to know as many people as I possibly can. And so I have been doing so many meet and greet sessions, tours, trying to go to different meetings that maybe relate directly or relate kind of adjacently to what I'm doing.
Tangentially.
Yeah, tangentially.
Tangentially.
Okay, I'll let you say it.
There's no S in the middle.
Okay, I'm going to just let you keep saying it for me. But my calendar has been stacked with meetings. This past week, I came in after the flu. I was very tired the first couple days afterwards, but I didn't have as much meetings. I had more space to marinate, to think, to move things forward, to do the work that I was meeting about with everybody. It felt really good to feel like I was not just talking about the work that needed to be done, but having the time and the space to create and do the things as well. And not that I wasn't doing things and doing work and completing it, but some of the bigger strategic things that take more time, intentionality, do take more space. And so I came home and I was super excited.
Yeah. It's good that you're not worn out after work. You're more energized, actually, because you're starting to get a little more of the balance between those.
Right. And I have all these things I want to read and tap into and experience. And I like that. I told someone this week that sometimes my curiosity gets me down like bunny trails or
rabbit holes.
That's the saying. Shoot. Kind of that curiosity. I got to lean into that some this week.
Yeah.
Around some things. And that's where I thrive, is being able to follow some of my intuition and some of my thoughts.
You're getting to the flow of the work where it feels more like play than the daunting work, the quote unquote, the hard part of the job, the grind, right? It's more of like, I'm in the flow here and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that a little bit this week with the website. We can talk about that some other time if you want, but
sounds good. Do you want me to talk about the next one on the list?
Okay.
The next one is that Keith loves me more than he can comprehend. And I'm just smiling.
We made this list over like drinks and dinner, right? Is that what
over
this
drinks
list is?
and dinner.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And I will say a shout out to 45th Parallel. So that's where we went. It's a local distillery in our region, and so we were able to spend some time there on a date night, and that was our next one. Was date nights are so important.
Yeah.
So I thought we could talk about
how much I love you.
You don't have to talk about. I love you so much too.
Yeah.
I just thought it just warms my heart that was the thing that you said of what was the lesson you learned.
We really made it a priority even before you made the job transition that we needed to start dating again and that we needed to make time for our relationship, and that recording the podcast is a great way for us to connect and to have a conversation. But if that's the only time we're connecting, what are we going to talk about?
Right.
So yeah, leaning into getting out and doing something just you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Usually dinner, because that's the time that it would work.
Yeah.
Just a change of setting, right? I know that helps you. You talked about that, like whether I think it was like work or writing or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe a grant or something. You're like, sometimes I just have to get up and go to a coffee shop, and it's like that was like a kind of like another little side lesson, which is like just switching up the setting, and I think that's what we did. So
yeah, because we spend a lot of time at home.
I'm a homebody for sure, and I wasn't always, but a good portion of me really I need to come home and recharge, and that turned into I need to stay home and stay recharged over the last few years. But like, yeah, we got out and we traveled a little more than we had.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did we write down, like, we went to Nashville, we went to Alabama, Indianapolis, right? Like
Green Bay.
Yep.
Now we live there partially.
Yeah. So I think that feels very similar to date nights are important. Well, so I think of it, Julia Cameron's morning pages, right? I've talked about those and how it's a way to journal. Well, in her book, The Artist's Way, she talks about artist dates.
Oh.
It's like you take yourself on a date and you go and you get inspired by something, whether it could just be a walk even, but it's like part of life is going out and being in different spaces. And I'm like, I need to lean into that. So
yeah. I mean, even today I had some errands to run. And so I asked if you wanted to come with me. Mm-hmm. Typically, I mean, running around, that's not exactly fun to take along with, but you came with, which was really nice. And then we went to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just laughing because it doesn't seem like a romantic date night, maybe, but I really wanted wings.
Yeah, you did.
I haven't had good wings in a while. And that used to be something we would do every once in a while, is go down and get some wings and split a Caesar salad.
Yeah.
So we recreated that.
That was lunch, yeah.
It was lunch.
Yeah. A lunch date.
But then as we were coming home, we were really talking and chatting. And I loved it because normally where you go and you take a right
To get home.
to get home,
Yep.
you just kept going straight, and we just kept driving around town and chatting because we were in a really good conversation. And once you pull into the house, you can still keep talking, but then it just changes it.
It changes the flow.
It does. It does. It changes the flow.
Maybe that'll be the theme of this episode. It's flow.
It's flow. Yeah.
Funny, yeah.
Like it.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt the conversation. I was having a nice time.
Me too. Do you want me to move into the next piece that we talked about?
Sure.
Okay, so the next one we wrote down is that movement is important and we're better when we do it.
Yeah. I just was reminded of that while you were home for the holidays and not feeling well. I was also just kind of being still because you were. And I wanted to be available to like get you the medicine, get you fluids, take care of you. Like,
yeah.
I go into caregiver mode, but then I realized like you were sitting still because you literally couldn't get up. Like you were just
I was dizzy,
tired, hot, not feeling well. And I was sitting so much that I was getting sore. And then I could tell my mood was kind of like a little weird but nothing was wrong with me. And then all of a sudden I realized like, oh, I haven't gotten up and done anything. Because the other thing with the holidays, they're great because you get time with family, except for when they're sick.
Yeah, I know. Miss out on all my family time.
But it also kind of messed up my routine. My routine is like, I usually get a little bit more movement. I go down to the rower. I come down and I bounce on my new rebounder.
Sorry. I love that you bounce. I saw one. Sorry, this is a complete aside. I was so excited. We were watching Price is Right. We introduced Child 2 to Price is Right because he wasn't feeling well. It's the same thing I had.
I said, okay, guy, this is what you get to do when you stay home from school and you're not feeling well. You get to watch The Price is Right. Well, now there's an entire 2 full channels dedicated to just Price is Right reruns.
Yeah.
So then you kind of got hooked on it again.
Yeah, so I started watching it one of the days where I was starting to feel a little better, but I just wanted something on. And they had a rebounder, but it had like its own little cover and like little like skirt, like a bed skirt, like but for like this trampoline.
It made it look like a ottoman, right?
It did.
Yeah.
It was
so anyway, it's a mini trampoline. Yes. I say rebounder because somebody said that to me, and I'm like, well, that sounds way cooler than Keith's going down on his mini trampoline and bouncing around after he has his meals to just try to like get that little, because it's so cold out. I couldn't go outside. It was like -5 degrees the other day. Anyway, it increased my mood to, I came down and I bounced a little bit while you were taking a nap, and I got a little sweaty. I was lifting some weights, and I felt my mood just lifted. And that's how it was this whole last year. Every time like I was stressed or a little anxious about something, I was like, okay, have I had water? Have I eaten? Did I get any of my steps in? Did I get movement? So that was a big thing for me this year, was trying to make it a habit of not something I think about because I forgot and I'm wondering why I'm not feeling well. It's like, no, this is a habit, and this is like part of what I do just on a daily basis, which I miss every now and then. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm trying to do that every day. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I think for myself as well, I know that I feel better when I get movement in. I had issues with one of my knees, and I know I talked about it on here, so I don't have to go into it, but where I was having physical therapy so I could heal.
Or just walk.
So I could walk. Yeah, it was rough.
It was.
I did something to my patella, and anyway, I learned a lot about how important it is for movement, but not even just movement, but strength as well. And so I really shifted partway through the year, going from like walks and jogging to lifting, squats, things like that.
Little circuits and stuff.
Little circuits to really keep my hips and my muscles strong.
Yeah.
And so I shifted my movement a little bit, but how important that was not just for my mental health, but also for my physical health to make sure that my rehab knee continues to be healthy.
That was your word in 2024.
It was my word.
And I glommed onto that.
Mm-hmm.
I said intent.
Yeah.
So that's good to remember it, because I did get stronger this year, like in the gym. I progressed.
Yeah.
That was good. And there was a few things like with my shoulder that I had to work through. I don't know, that I didn't forget about it, but I was more focused on intent and thinking of like, what's my aim here? What am I working for? And the strength training is baked in because I have a trainer.
Right.
And so I didn't have to kind of focus on that because it was part of my schedule. Like I had reminders, I had it scheduled on my calendar. Whereas the intent, that was like, I would have to journal about it and write. And I kind of got away from journaling. So anyway, this is all to say it's good to have something to come back to, is all that's popped in my head, because you're talking about strength. And I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. Well, and strength for me, I thought at the outset it was going to be, I don't know exactly, like as I'm thinking back, and I didn't re-listen to the re-release, and maybe you did. I can't remember if I was talking about it from a place of kind of mental strength or physical or both.
I mean, I think it was a little bit of both, but
Okay.
I might be misremembering, because I think we've even talked about this I remember us having a conversation how you were working on like the mental strength of like seeing some things through and just sticking with, some things, because you were having a hard season.
Yeah.
And I remember it getting through that, and you doing what you had to do for that strength. And then it turned into, I'm going to get back to the circuit training I do in the mornings, get on the rower when I can. And it turned more into physical strength. So I think it was a little bit more of like you wanting to focus on the mental aspect maybe at the beginning of the year, and it turned more towards bringing that with you as you focused more on the physical strength.
The physical too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
both very important.
Yeah. I don't know if I've talked about it really on the podcast about why that mental strength, why I was going through a hard.
No, we were pretty
general
about it, to not reveal too much, especially because it was so new,
so fresh.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll just say, because sometimes I feel like talking very generally isn't always helpful.
Do we need a trigger warning?
We maybe, yeah. I mean,
we're going to be talking about a sensitive topic.
We're going to be talking about a sensitive topic.
If you don't want to, I will put in the show notes what to fast forward to.
That sounds good. Okay. So, in the fall prior to going into 2024.
The fall of 2023.
So the fall of 2023, the institution that I was working at, we experienced four students who completed suicide in a relatively short amount of time, about 8 weeks. I do want to say that if you or anyone you know is struggling or needs help, please reach out to 988. It's the suicide hotline, it's a free resource, and there's always somebody willing to talk with you. In the United States, again, 988, it's the suicide and crisis line that can help give you the support you need, or support those that you know as well.
Yeah.
And so being in the role I was over much of the student experience at the institution. And so I carried a lot of the response, communication, coordination, support on my shoulders, of making sure that those that were responding, the families and those closest to the students, were supported and taken care of. And working through that was really, really hard emotionally, and mentally. It was a lot, but I knew that I could do it and be there for people. So I'm glad that I was there to do and support people in the way that I was able to.
Mm-hmm.
So going into 2024, after having that really hard, intense, really sad experience, I knew strength was a good word for me because I needed strength from an emotional standpoint after going through that, not knowing what the spring semester would bring. And as the year evolved, I also wanted to make sure that I had strength physically too. So strength really served two very important purposes for me as a reminder that I am strong, I'm resilient, and I can get through this. It was a really good word for me, even though it might not have been exactly what I was intending.
No, but also like the strength wasn't coming from you like white knuckling your way through. It was being mindful and thoughtful of self-care and taking the time and the space that you need so that you could show up for yourself and for others. Because
Exactly.
a lot of people needed you, and that's a lot to carry. That emotional labor is hard work, and you didn't want to get burnt out and not to be able to take care of yourself, right? Let alone the other people. Like, and so it wasn't like you were coming at it from, I need to be strong and I need to, I need to push through this. It was like, I am going to find a way to get through this very hard situation. I mean, it was like a masterclass in seeing somebody be aware of the season they're in and going through the hard thing, and not blindly just for me, like I can get in those situations and I can get stubborn, and it's actually like I almost do the exact opposite of what I need to do. And so to see you actually lean in and take action, appropriate actions that you needed to do to make sure that you came through stronger in a way, like it was really good to see. So it was a great example for me anyway.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, way to go.
Thanks. The strength as well, making this move to a new position and a new part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
It just, again, it was this through line through my entire year with different things, but not being strong because I didn't feel like I had it or like I was going to do well or be able to bring my strengths, and skills to the role. But it was being strong because I was doing something kind of scary.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's scary to make a decision, to do something slightly different. I'm not normally the person that says that it's scary to do something new or to change or to try something new. It's a little scary. You don't quite know how things are going to work out.
Yeah.
It's a big move.
We were cognizant of the fact that we were moving out of our comfort zone and actually trying to grow our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still trying to do that, right? Like making sure that I'm not simply sticking with the status quo because it's what I know. It's not really serving me all the time. And I mean, I think I mentioned that to you earlier today where I'm trying to make sure that I'm not going to a default mode that is simply the default and there's no other reason. It's like I'm trying to be aware of, like, even if my default is no, I don't want to go do anything. I don't want that to simply be how I am. It's more of I want to be like, okay, why am I saying I don't want to go do A, B, or C? oh, because that's just kind of what I've been doing for 4 years. No, like I need to grow and start thinking about things a little differently. And part of that for me is being okay with being a little more uncomfortable than we have a very comfortable life.
Yeah.
So to be able to say, okay, this is going to get a little uncomfortable, but the possibility that this could lead to. Whereas not trying something new, I don't think that a lot of growth comes out of that. It's still feeling kind of new and
it is
a little special. I think we'll check in a couple more months and see how it's going still, obviously, but I'm surprised at how easy it is. But then, like, I'll have days where I'm like, well, this is kind of tricky. Laura's not here. So it's not like, it simply is. I'm not trying to like make it all rose colored. I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is so hard. Can't believe what we're doing. Like, I don't mean special in that way. Like, we're so special because we're doing the hard thing. It's like the experience feels special.
Yeah. Even to go back to a simple example, date nights. We used to, it wasn't that often, but every once in a while we grab a Wednesday or a Tuesday and be like, oh, we're going to go to supper, Yeah. And we can't really do that anymore.
No.
Unless I'm here, you're there, right?
Yep.
I think there was a time between when we moved into the apartment and Christmas. I don't think that we went on like a real, like a date.
No, there was
really.
Not that I can think of. I feel like we might have.
We might have went out for like Mexican food one night after I drove home.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it was. I could tell. Like, even I was thinking, we haven't gone out in a while. I need to initiate that more, right? Mm-hmm. And do those types of things for you. And just like you said, and I need to make sure that I'm attentive to things for you, So the fact that 2024 date night started to become a thing again, so much that when it was gone for a while, that we were both like, we need a date night.
Like what is this?
It's very telling. So, and it's in a good way. Like, it's something we need to prioritize.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I think we can do it.
Yeah, we are.
We just did it today.
Okay, so we're going through a list.
Well,
or notes from like when we were having a conversation before. Where are
notes
we at?
From a conversation. So I have two other things that we talked about that we were like, oh, that's a lesson we learned.
Okay.
In 2024. So this goes a little bit with wellness again. We said that we learned that we really feel better when we don't drink alcohol. So in 2024, we did dry January, which then turned into dry February and dry March.
Yep.
So we did 3 months.
First quarter.
The first quarter.
Yep.
And
surprise, surprise, Keith lost weight.
You're
surprise, surprise. When he started drinking again, he gained the weight back.
And we wanted to do it, at least I'll speak for myself. I wanted to do it because I wanted to reset my relationship with alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's not that my relationship with alcohol was like way off the deep end or anything like that. It's not like I was drinking a bottle of wine every single night.
Right. But we are from Wisconsin.
No, but you're funny. But honestly, I really wanted to see what would it be like if I just went without for a month and then it turned into 2 and 3 months. And then I got to choose out of my routine and my habit of when I drink and how much I drink. I get to reset that for myself.
Yeah.
And that felt really good. I slept so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
The recalibrating aspect of it is something that I still see. Like, we're doing dry January now.
Yep.
Right. Like, I'm sipping on a non-alcoholic, champagne or something?
Yep. Free.
It's really good. It's basically sparkling like grape juice.
Some chocolate-covered cherry tea from Tiesta, one of my faves.
But that recalibration, it's still with me where when I was drinking the kind of the latter half of 24, it wasn't as frequent. And when I was, it was not as many drinks in a session or sitting or whatever you call that. And that was really refreshing and good, and it just kind of rewired like what's the point of this, because it has been brought to my attention that there is no physical health benefit to alcohol.
Right. As much as we want to
Now, as
say there
a
is.
social thing,
Absolutely.
it helps in a certain way for certain people. And I think I'm in that camp. But is it helping me get to where I want to go on my health journey?
Yeah.
That's something that this month is helping me dive back into and kind of almost renegotiate with myself
Yeah.
of like, what's it for? And is it actually serving me? So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like the idea of having it be really intentional. If I'm just stepping back, just kicking the tires a little bit, seeing, do I like my reasons?
Yeah.
And then I can choose whatever that looks like moving forward.
It's similar to food with me.
Yeah.
It's like, am I hungry or am I bored?
Sure.
Am I hungry or am I upset?
Yeah.
Am I trying to soothe myself with food or drink?
Yeah.
It's not part of my operating mode that I want. If I'm going, it's just like, okay, I want to have other mechanisms,
Yeah.
other healthier mechanisms for me. Like, this isn't obviously, and every time we talk about stuff like this, we're like, this is not me trying to tell other people that they shouldn't drink or anything, or they shouldn't eat pizza or whatever. This is all me, and I'm just trying to figure out what's best for me. I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Near beer is good, by the way.
Actually, near beer is pretty good.
I drink more IPA near beers than I've ever drank in my entire life in the last year.
Regular IPAs.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Makes me sneeze usually. And what I heard from somebody, I'm not 100% sure if it's true because I didn't go and research it, but apparently that's the alcohol content is more to do with you sneezing than the hops or whatever.
Okay.
But I don't know. The near beer is more it's almost like just cold tea, which I love, unsweetened iced tea. That's one of my go-tos when I stop drinking soda.
Yeah.
Or Diet Coke for the most. I've had a root beer every now and then, or a soda, but I got off the Diet Coke several years. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've had a Diet Coke.
It's been a long time.
But I had enough Diet Coke for a lifetime before I was
Me too.
20.
I would have 4 or 5 or 6 a day. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's nothing.
Oh, Diet Cherry Coke. Oh, it's so good. Straight up.
Yeah, straight up regular Diet Coke.
Do you remember the Diet Coke with lime? I wonder if they still have that.
I remember you always try to be fancy with different added flavors, and I'm like, just give me the regular, black coffee. Once I started drinking that, green tea.
Green tea.
I don't, I do like LaCroix and flavored water though.
Yeah.
You have to have something. Anyway, rambling.
Good.
I always need one decent ramble about something that nobody really cares about in an episode.
That's true.
Let's move on.
Then they'll get the full Keith experience.
Yeah.
The last thing that we talked about, and I don't exactly remember. I don't remember this.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it.
I definitely won't remember that.
No, I'm going to say it, and then maybe we can unpack it a little bit.
Okay.
I wrote down, it's good to be flexible when things aren't exactly like you think they will be. Was a lesson that we learned.
That seems to pair really well with some of the things we were talking about, right? Yeah. Huh. I don't really remember saying that, but that's probably a really good thing for me to meditate on.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a higher percentage of things not turning out the way I think they're going to. And so if I can become more flexible with my response to that, everyone's going to have a better time. Because when I'm surprised, depending on the surprise, I can be irritated, I can get sad, downregulate in a bad way, lower than low, that's where I think of maybe I had said something like that, if that was something I said, but
yeah. And this happened after we had this conversation, but even thinking about when I had the flu over the holidays, my sister flew in, and then I proceeded to be sick from the first day she got here until the day she flew out.
You saw her on Zoom.
And I saw her on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I know how desperately I wanted to just put on a mask and be a lump, wherever they were.
Yeah, you're okay with that. Them, they're like, please don't. Please don't.
I actually knew that I should not do that.
No. But that's what they would have been like. We had no business having you over there.
No, not at all. But to think that we can use technology in order to make that connection.
Yeah.
And we did a talent show. We had the kiddos doing different songs and things like that. So I think that
you had to be flexible. Yeah,
I had to be flexible
because you were really looking forward to it.
Oh gosh, I really was. I mean, I think there was a moment I'm like, I feel like my whole holiday was ruined.
Yeah. You were.
I was feeling the feels.
You were sounding like a tween.
I was.
I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I have 3 teenagers in the house now.
Well, or even if we think being flexible, we've tried to work more and more on how do we communicate during the week when I'm on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
Right? Because phone calls they're okay.
I don't like
You don't
phone
like
calls.
phone calls. You don't really love them.
I think it's harder for me to tell the intent behind somebody's words when I can't see their face.
Yeah.
There's got to be something like that. And when we're on the phone, you tend to be driving hands-free.
Yeah, hands-free, of course.
The connection isn't always great.
True.
And I get a little thrown for a loop if I don't hear the words. It's just like a broken conversation where I'm saying, what? I didn't hear you, huh?
Yeah.
What? And then I get a little frustrated. I'm like, we should be talking, and now I'm just saying what? And then I start acting like a teenager. But yeah, we had to work through that, and
we've set up some Zoom appointments throughout the week.
FaceTime,
which has worked pretty well.
Yeah.
We're just kind of going with the flow and trying to figure out what works and not getting too high or too low when something works well or not.
Well, and the biggest thing too is, like you said, going with the flow again too. So that stood out to me. But we're being flexible about communication, and we're prioritizing. Like we need to be in communication,
right?
And that's key. A great way for us to not get too low or too high is actually connect. And for me, the easiest way is, hey, hop on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Because then at least I get to see you too.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
We have a great time with the center stage feature. We're like, isn't this wacky?
Well, if you lean back a little bit and then like you snap your head back like on like a sitcom, it like zooms in on you. It's just it's too fun.
Yeah, it does it best with you, I think, because of your beard.
Yeah.
Like really, like wants to focus in on you.
You can just tell, like, gotta keep it fun.
Yeah. Any other things that you thought about 2024 that you think we should mention? Or do we want to talk about if we're going to do words for 2025?
I'll make a project to maybe collect the transcripts from these last year's worth of recordings or so, and maybe look and see if there's any trends here or there. But it was really interesting listening back to some of the episodes when I was looking for things to like kind of fill in the schedule while you weren't feeling well. Mm-hmm. There's one where I'm like, oh, we were talking about that a year ago. We're still talking about it now, like self-care or whatever this or communication. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason, because it's so these things that we're talking about, they're going to keep coming back up. And I want to continue to get better at responding versus reacting.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going with it. And I think the taking the time to reflect back is important for moving forward and bringing the things into the new year or into the new season or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just getting back into journaling again and listening back to talking about journaling a year ago and then seeing that it dipped off and I wasn't really being that intentional about it. I was like, ooh, okay, we gotta re-inject that into my routine as I move forward. So yeah, let's move forward and just say like, yeah, we're gonna come back and find some ways of sharing, like maybe some more tips from the prior year and a half or so.
Yeah. What are you thinking going into 2025, looking forward? Do you want to pick a word for next year?
Yeah, like a word or a theme or whatever you want to call it.
I really liked a word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, a word is a theme.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, people can do whatever they want. If you want to do it with us, figure out how to tell us what you're doing. Yeah. So I have thought about it, and a couple years ago, I picked consistent and persistent, And then last year was intent and strength,
Mm-hmm.
because you brought that to my attention. And then so far this year, my word is going to be action.
Okay.
And I might pair it with focus, as in I want to be intentional. I'm going to bring that with me, just like the consistent and persistent. Those are with me. Like those are themes that I want to bring throughout my life. And now I want that to pair with, I want to be more intentional about focused action and taking the necessary steps or making the decisions, like being active with what I'm choosing to do. Action and maybe focus.
Like that.
Yeah. How about you?
So, because there has been a lot of change, there's going to be a lot of movement as we figure out this east-west side of the state and what that looks like. New job transition, learning new things. Child 1 is learning to drive.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like all these things. There's a lot going on. So I thought of a word. I have three words that I kind of wrote down as I was preparing.
Share the words with us.
Okay, the words. I don't like them all, though. So,
Well, say them,
okay.
and then maybe we can drill down.
So the first one I wrote down was anchored. Like I'm tied and tethered to something, but anchored also kind of feels like I'm stuck, and I don't like that so much.
That's why sometimes when you call me your rock, I'm like, as long as I'm not the rock tied around your ankle holding you back, right? I don't want to be the anchor that's holding you back. I don't mind being a strong foundation for you, though, right? You did mention that to me before, and did I say grounded?
Yes, so that was the second word I have here is grounded.
Okay.
Because the word I was thinking was rooted.
Okay.
So something where I am going to have the ability to grow and expand and reach, but that I still have a strong foundation.
Yeah.
That's important to me and to my physical and mental health. And so I like the word grounded.
Yeah.
Because saying rooted all the time, I think I will say rooted.
Yeah. We don't need any more hard T's.
No.
For me to soften.
So we'll say grounded. I like grounded. The other word I had written down was purpose, but I'm thinking of Avenue Q now. Purpose.
Look, I found a penny, and it's from the year I was born. Avenue Q, yes.
You can definitely look up that song if you're interested. Yes. So I think I'm going to go with grounded. It just means that I'm intentionally sticking to my strong foundation, my family. As I'm saying it out loud, the grounded is going to be my word for 2025.
Okay.
And you have action?
Yes.
And maybe focus.
Yeah. I need to be focused.
Okay.
And focused on action.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
When I joined my previous institution, the chancellor at the time chose a word for the year for the campus.
Okay.
And then she would make a bracelet that would have the word in it. I believe the first year that I was there, her word was focus. And last year, the word was action.
Funny.
So I think that's kind of interesting that you're
hilarious.
Kind of picking up on similar vibes. But I'll probably get, last year I got a beaded bracelet that had strength in Morse code with the beads, like long and short beads.
Oh, that's right.
Spelling it out. So I'll probably try and find something with grounded that I can wear just to remind myself throughout the year.
I'll probably just write it on a Post-it note and put it above my monitors.
Yeah, fair. You probably will. That's okay. You spend quite a bit of time down here in your studio, so
yeah,
you'd see it. You probably wouldn't wear a bracelet.
No, I can't believe I wear a watch now.
Yeah,
but it's got utility. It tells me my heart rate and my standing and my steps. So every now and then I get sick of it, and I'm like, I got to get this off of me.
Yeah,
but I got to remember to put it on because I want to hit my standing goal for the day.
Don't want to.
Wish I could do it as a pocket watch and it worked, but it has to read my biomarkers or whatever.
You definitely have pocket watch energy about you. That's not a slight. That's maybe a compliment.
I appreciate it.
Okay, good.
I appreciate it. As we wrap up, I want to mention that I broke the website.
Oh, I thought you were like going to do a confession to me as something I didn't know. I'm like,
no.
What did you break?
Nope. This is for the listening audience.
Okay.
I broke the website that I normally post all of these at as a way for people to listen to it if they don't have a podcast app that they like or YouTube. I took that as an opportunity to shift to the new website that I've been intending to build for a long time. I kind of forced myself to do it by breaking the other website, kind of because I was like, well, if it breaks, I'd have to start a new one anyway. So we have a new website with keithandlaura.com. I'm kind of excited about it. It's the first version. It's early. It's simply a place to go and see the last few episodes right now. And I'm getting the back catalog loaded into there too over the next couple weeks probably. But it's just like a fun little thing that I thought I would share and like point out to people that I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, and I think you're going to add spots for us so we can write blogs.
Yep, we're going to have a space for Laura so
Yay.
that she can write to her heart's content and share things that are
Put
interesting.
stuff out and be nervous about it and all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we're going to see what that grows into in 2025. Here we come. Here we are.
It's going to be a great year.
Yeah, can't wait. All right, let's get out here.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.